This is a second tier channel. Hello, this is Chris speaking. Wake up with a video about this channel. What is this channel about? Who is this channel for? In Spell Dynamics terms, this is a second tier channel. Meaning, this is a channel for people who are centered currently in Spell Dynamics second tier. Or in other words, in Hawkins scale 300, 400 plus. Or in other words, people who are on the Finder scale in location 1 plus. There's a reason why this channel is growing slowly, because I'm not addressing anyone who is centered in beige, purple, red, blue, orange, or green. I have no interest in convincing anyone that everything they believe is wrong. This is something you have to find out by yourself. And once you found this out, you shift to yellow. And this is where I pick you up. In yellow, turquoise, or coral. In teal plus, you don't need any help anymore. But in yellow, turquoise, and coral, intuition is not yet fully developed. So I'm offering support as just like it has been offered to me and was helpful to me in the past. In the last video about misinformation, which I made because I realized that a lot of people are still bothered about this whole misinformation scandal, independent of the center of gravity, there was a very good feedback. Thank you, Ricky. Ricky wrote, I feel like there's a potential pitfall with interpreting what you're saying about applying intuition. Since most folks are still operating from a place of ego, what they understand as intuition might be mistaken for their own narrow egoic narrativizing interpretations of a given experience, rather than experiencing a given moment for a relatively unfiltered mode of being, absent of identification and discrimination. I think what you're saying makes sense if you're operating from second tier, or maybe at least, at the very least, stage green. But lower stages might misconstrue what you're referring to. Yes, lower stages will misconstrue what I'm referring to. They don't have a choice. If you trust in your thoughts and your emotions and your opinions, and if you trust in mainstream media and politics, then you cannot but misinterpret what I'm saying. Either it sounds like bullshit or you will misunderstand it. There are lots of channels and lots of books who are geared towards waking green-centered people up and bringing them to second tier. Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra, J.P. Sears, Russell Brand, and many, many others. The purpose and niche of this channel is similar to what Jed Mckenna and UG tried. It's operating from a coral center of gravity. Why? Because coral is the border. In teal, plum, and aubergine, you don't need any more input. You know already that the only information is inside, and you know already what intuition is. In yellow, you failed it now and then, but you don't know it yet. In turquoise, you really explore intuition, and in coral, you get rid of the rest of the garbage. Once you're in coral or through coral, the jig is up. So all I can do is to help you to get from yellow and turquoise into coral. And this has worked in the past. Not with everyone, but with some. Some people who contacted me via email or Patreon or YouTube or Facebook and so on. You were able to make the jump. And that's why I'm continuing, even if it's maybe 1 out of 1,000 or so. So mostly I'm addressing yellow, turquoise and coral centered people. People who are already awake and want to move on in the direction of enlightenment. It's not the purpose of the channel to wake anyone up, unless you're at the verge already. If you're already on the verge of waking up and you need just a little bit of a push or pull, then yes. But if you're centered in green, I'm sorry, this is not the channel for you. I cannot help you because you're still trusting too much in what you think is reality and what you think is yourself. I started 2 years ago with this channel because this crisis is a good opportunity to wake up and to travel further towards enlightenment and beyond enlightenment. It's a good opportunity. And I've already pissed people off. Quite a few people are pissed off by telling them that I don't care what their opinion is. Because I don't care about any opinion. I don't even care about my opinions. They're just there. But I don't listen to them. Opinions are just static. The static of a radio, for example, in between the channels. What you need to find in second tier is your intuition. Your intuition, your inner master or mistress. Your inner connection to the divine. That's it. And the less you listen to thoughts and emotions and opinions of yourself or others, the better. And the faster it will be. This probably sounds very arrogant, and I don't care either. Because there is no me actually talking here. There is also nothing to understand or to interpret. It's very, very simple. Get in touch with your intuition. Don't listen to anything or anyone else until you're in touch with your intuition. And your intuition is not your thoughts, not your emotions, and not your instincts. Anything that is mixed with any kind of emotion like fear or anger cannot be intuition. And even instincts, which feel a little bit similar, are not intuition. Because instincts are gut feeling, is what is good for your physical system to survive. For example, you have an instinct about what to eat. This is also good to exercise, but it's not intuition. Intuition is a very, very clear but subtle, unobtrusive voice. It will not insist. And the more often you listen to your intuition, the clearer and louder it will become. And the lower the volume of your inner babbling, inner dialogue will become. Emotional people think their emotions are their intuition. It's not. Intellectual people think their thoughts are intuition. They're not. And more physical people think their instincts are their intuition. It's not. Intuition comes directly from the divine. It's direct knowledge. You ask for something and immediately you get the answer. Or you get the answer even without asking for it. But it doesn't feel, it's not the same experience as a thought, an emotion, or an instinct. It's very, very different. And this cannot be understood by the mind. It has nothing to do with the mind. It happens when the mind is relatively silent as possible. Otherwise, the noise of the babbling is blotting out the voice, the subtle voice of the intuition. In the same way as The spiritual bliss is not the same as emotional exhilaration. Intuition is not the same as feelings and thoughts. Intuition starts pouring in the tab. You can open the tab like a water tap of intuition if you let go. If you let go of control. We all have control issues. That's what our culture is about. Control issues. Based on fear, shame, and guilt. So what you have to do is work on your fear, shame, and guilt. And then let go. And all this mistrust, let it go. There's this very famous story about a guy in a city where there's a big flood catastrophe. And he's climbing to the rooftop of a house and praying to God to rescue him. And a boat comes by and says, come with us. And he says, no, I'm fine. God will rescue me. Then water's rising and rising. Next boat comes. Come, jump aboard. We'll rescue you. No, thank you. God will rescue me. I trust in God. Water is rising already almost to the level where he's standing on the top of the rooftop of the tallest house in the vicinity. Then the helicopter is coming and the ladder falls down and they want to rescue him. And he says, no, thank you. God will rescue me. And then he drowns. And then he comes to heaven and God welcomes him into heaven and he complains, why didn't you rescue me? I trusted in you. Why did you let me die? And God says, you stupid idiot. I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. And that's it. That's intuition. The boats and the helicopters that we don't listen to, we stay in our private meta-universe, in our holodeck, imprisoned with our own thoughts and emotions. And we listen to this babbling instead of the intuition which is already there. The intuition is there, we just don't listen to it because it's not insisting. But our emotions and thoughts, they are insisting because they're mad. And the realization that this is so constitutes the first 3 colors of second tier. Yellow, turquoise, and coral. If you have not realized that, you're probably centered in green. Then you're just interested in spirituality. But if you're trying to live it day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second, then you're probably centered in yellow, turquoise, or coral. And there's no way around coral. There's no way around coral. You can enjoy life on a superficial spiritual level in yellow and turquoise and think you're super smart and super advanced. But the real test, the fire test, is to walk on hot coals through coral. Coral will be the test if you're really spiritual or if you're just faking it. And to help you into coral and through coral is the purpose of this channel. If you're interested in this, stay with me. If not, this is not the right channel for you. I'm sorry. They're much better channel for different stages and purposes. And if you're in coral, you will understand what I'm saying. If not, you cannot understand it because you are not in coral. So of course, people misinterpret what I'm saying all the time. I'm not bothered by it. Because some people write and say, thank you, this is exactly the information I needed. This is what I was looking for. No one else is talking about this. The last thing is not true, of course. There are other people who are talking about it, but they're very few. Like Jed Mckenna, whom I recommend all the time. He calls it spiritual warfare. There is no fence sitting here. Either you fight in the war or you're not. You cannot half fight it. And this war, this teenager time, so to say, on the way to human adulthood, is called coral in spell-dynamics terms. After coral, if you went through the hell of coral, if you went through this juvenile stretch of total confusion and remolding, then you entail, and then you're finally at the stage where human adulthood begins, where the journey really begins. The journey into the unknown. And maybe for some people this channel is a beacon on these shores of the unknown, of this unknown country that we call spirituality or enlightenment. And when you arrive there, because your boat crashed on these shores of infinity, when you arrive there confused and purified, then you need probably someone who gives you some good advice how to continue. And this is again the purpose of this channel. Because things are not easier on the other side, they're just different. It's a new adventure. This is why I also understand how Ken Wilber said with coral, third tier starts already. It's understandable because in and after coral, everything is totally different. Totally different. And yet the visible day-to-day life is the same. The visible day-to-day life stays the same. We're living in the Walking Dead TV show, or in The Lord of the Flies, or in Hobbes' Leviathan, or in the Matrix, in the cave, whatever you want to call it, and make the best of it. Only with the difference that we know it's a delusion, that's a holodeck, and that we are not totally distracted anymore with thoughts and emotions and opinions and brainwashing and collective Stockholm Syndrome. But for the first time in our lives, we have a real connection to reality. This is called intuition. Thank you to all my patrons. Thank you for listening. Thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing the videos with your friends. And see you soon.